Okay, is my screen visible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. So, good morning, one and all. In the previous class, we were doing the numerical example number 2 on beam columns. I will just quickly run through this whatever we have done till in the previous class because there was a long gap. There was a beam column where the effective length of the column was 3400 about both the axes. Then the actual compressive load which was coming on the column was 500 kilonewton, and they have given you the bending moment along Z and bending moment along Y. That is bending moment along major axis and bending moment along minor axis, both at the bottom and top of the column, right? So while calculation, what you have to do is actually you have to take the maximum of that. So at both bottom and top, along both the axes, they have given you the bending moment. So while doing some calculations, while checking with the bending, you have to take the maximum of that. And they only told you to take effective length of the column as 3.4 meter along both the axes. And it was ISHB 300. The column is ISHB 300, and we have to check whether it is adequate or not. Okay. So these are the properties of ISHB 300. Then I came to know that we're using the section classification. The ISHB 300 falls under semi-compact section. Then first check what you have to do is check for the resistance of cross section to combined effects. So you have to see clause 9.3.1.3 because our section is a semi-compact section. And this is the interaction formula which we have to check, where I told you N is the actual compressive load which is acting on the column, which is 500 kilonewton. ND is the capacity of the column, which is calculated using this formula. Then My is the maximum bending moment along minor axis, maximum bending moment along minor axis. Okay, both at the top and bottom and top, and it is 1 kilonewton meter. So My is 1. Then Mz is also maximum bending moment along major axis. Okay, 15 kilonewton meter. Then MDZ you have to calculate using this formula, and MDY you have to calculate using this formula. So why I'm using elastic section modulus? Because you know it is the formula is actually beta B ZP into Fy divided by gamma m naught. But beta B is equal to ZE divided by ZP for the semi-compact sections. So because of that, the formula reduces to this form. And once I know all these values, I plugged into this equation, that is this equation. Then I came to know that the final value is 0.395 and it is less than 1. Hence, the section is safe against combined effects. Okay, the section is safe against combined effects. Students, I just like to tell you that there could be some network problem. So if my voice is breaking, if any things are there, you can just interrupt me and tell me. Right. So we started with the second check, that is a check for resistance of cross section to combined effects of buckling. Um, so in the problem only they have told effective length is to be taken as 3.4 meters along both the axes. That's why KLZ is equal to KLY is equal to 3.4 meters. Then you have to calculate the slenderness ratio, that is lambda Z and lambda Y, which is given by this formula, that is the KLZ divided by RZ and lambda Y is KLY divided by RY. So I'm getting 26.25 and 62.84. Then I have to check for major axis which curve I have to refer, means which table I have to refer, and for minor axis which table I have to refer. So you have to first find out these ratios, that is H by B. It is getting out to be 1.2 and thickness of flange of ISHB 300 is less than 100 mm. So once you go to table 2, okay, of IS 800 2007, not sorry, not table 2, it is actually table 10. Table 10 of IS 800 2007. If you go there, you see that you have to refer curve B, that is table 9B for the major axis and table 9C for the minor axis. So from table 9B, for KLZ by RZ equal to this much and Fy equal to this much, I can find out FCD, that is design compressive stress. So based on this, I can find out the PDZ, that is the axial compressive capacity of the column along major axis, which is simply FCD multiplied by the cross sectional area, and it is 1650.4 kilonewton, which is more than 500 kilonewton. So it is okay. Similarly, you have to refer table 9C and find out FCD and find out PDY, and that also is more than 500 kilonewton, hence it is okay. So the section is safe against what? It is safe for the combined effects of buckling. So the first check was this. This is the second check. Now we have to come for the third check. Okay, so in the previous class we did first two checks. Then now in this class we shall proceed further and do the further checks. Okay, so now with that the third check is for the member buckling resistance in bending, which is given as MdZ is equal to beta B Zp into FBD. And you know that beta B is equal to Zd divided by Zp for the semi-compact sections. So this formula reduces to this form, that is MdZ is equal to Zd times FBD. So now we have to find FBD. So to do that, I need to first calculate the elastic critical moment, which is given by this formula, which is from clause 8.2.2.1 of IS 800 2007. So now let us substitute each and every value into this equation. So it is pi square E multiplied by Iy is actually the moment of inertia along the minor axis. So from the property of the section, it is, let us check how much it is. Yeah, moment of inertia along minor, yeah, 2193.6 into 10 raised to 3. Okay. Okay, 2193.600. 2193.600 is Iy multiplied by HF is actually the total depth minus 2 times the thickness of flange, which is coming out to be 289.4. This whole thing divided by 2 times LT square. LT is actually the effective length of the column. And in the problem itself, they have told that you have to take effective length of the column as 3400 square. Okay. This multiplied by 1 plus 1 divided by 20. And it is LT by Ry. LT is nothing but once again 3400 divided by Ry is the radius of gyration along minor axis, which is 54.1, which will be actually given in the steel tables. So this divided by HF by TF. HF is once again 289.4 by TF is actually the thickness of flange, which is 10.6. Okay, this whole thing square and this whole thing square bracket raised to 0.5. So once you solve this, you will get the elastic critical moment as 6.319 into 10 raised to 8. 319 into 10 raised to 8 Newton meter. Okay, it is Newton meter. Then you can calculate lambda LT, which is ZD times Fy divided by MCR. ZD is the elastic section modulus, which is actually from the properties. You can see it is 836,300. 836,300. 836,300 times the yield strength, that is Fy 250 divided by MCR, which is 6.319 into 10 is to 8. So from this you'll get lambda LT as 0.585. Okay, 0.585. Then you have to calculate something called as phi LT, which is given by this formula, that is 0.5 times. Okay, I will just not do that. You can substitute and get that. I'll directly write the value of phi LT, which is 0.71. Then phi LT value and lambda LT value you have to substitute in this equation to calculate xi LT, that comes out to be 0.9. Okay, 0.90. Then you can easily calculate the FBD value, which is given by this formula. That is xi LT, which is 0.9 multiplied by 250 divided by gamma m naught is 1.1. So you can get the value of FBD as 204.5 Newton per millimeter square. Then you can use this formula for MDZ, that is 204.5 is FBD multiplied by the elastic section modulus. So elastic section modulus is actually 863,300. We have already used here. That is here 836,300. 836,300. So from this, you can get the value of MDZ as 179.42. Kilonewton meter, which is more than the maximum bending moment either along major axis or along minor axis, that is 15 kilonewton meter. Hence, it is safe. Then you can calculate MDY, which is given by this formula, that is elastic section modulus along minor axis multiplied by Fy divided by gamma m naught. See, this elastic section modulus is actually along major axis and this is along minor axis. And this value is actually 175.5 into 10 raised to 3. This also you will get it from steel tables. 175.5 into 10 raised to 3. This multiplied by Fy is 250 divided by 1.1. So MDY, I am getting it as 39.9 kilonewton meter. And which is more than 1 kilonewton meter. So what is this 1 kilonewton meter is actually the maximum bending moment which is being applied on the column along minor axis, right? So this 15 kilonewton meter is the maximum bending moment which is applied on the column along major axis. So you can see the capacity of the column, design moment capacity of the column along major and minor axis are more than the actual bending moments applied. So hence it is safe. Okay, so this is the third check what you have to do, that is member buckling resistance in bending. Then this is the fourth check what you have to do. The fourth check is member buckling resistance in combined bending and axial compression. Okay, so this is a bit different one as compared to the previous example, because now here many more terms are involved because the column is subjected to both major and minor axis. Now this is a formula, that is there are two interaction formulas which you have to check, and the values of both of them should be less than or equal to 1. And they are actually given under clause 9.3.3.2 of IS 800/2007. Okay, so let us first calculate each and every term in this and substitute all the terms in these two equations, and both the equations values should be less than or equal to 1. Okay, let us check that. So first, let us find out the value of CMY. Okay, let us find out the value of CMY. So CMY is actually given as, you can see here, along major axis at the bottom, the column is subjected to 7 kilonewton meter. Okay, the column is actually subjected to 7 kilonewton meter at the bottom, and at the top it is subjected to 15 kilonewton meter along major axis. Now to find CMY, what you have to do is you have to calculate a ratio of M2 by M1, where M2 is taken as the lesser bending moment and M1 is taken as the higher bending moment. So if you do that, you will get this ratio as 0.467. 0.467. Now from the table which I told in the previous example, you can find out the value of CMY using this formula, that is 0.6 plus 0.4 times xi whatever we have calculated. So I have calculated xi as 0.467. So I have to just substitute that value of 0.467 here, and you can get the value of CMY, which is 0.786. Okay, 0.786. So I have calculated CMY. In the similar manner, you have to calculate CMZ. So while calculating CMZ, you have to actually refer the bending moments along the minor axis. You can see here, this is your column. At the top, the bending moment is plus 0.75 kilonewton meter, and at the bottom, the bending moment is minus 1 kilonewton meter. Okay, that's why I have drawn it on this side. So plus 7.5, I'm drawing it on this side. But in the previous case, you can see both the values are actually plus. You can see here. If I go to the problem statement, here is it. You can see along major axis, both the bending moments are plus, but along minor axis, at the bottom it is minus 1 and at the top it is plus 7.5. Sorry, plus 0.75. So for that purpose only, I am actually drawing like this. So at the top it is plus 0.75 and at the bottom it is minus 1. So I'm drawing it on this side. Now, once again, same thing. You have to calculate xi value. You have to take the lesser value. So don't take with minus because lesser, I mean to say the numerically lesser value, that is minus 0.75 divided by 1. So this comes out to be minus 0.75. Then same CMZ you can calculate using this formula. You have to substitute here minus 0.75. Okay. Then you can calculate the value of CMZ as coming out to be 0.3. Okay. So I have calculated CMY. Then I have calculated where is that CMZ. Okay. Both these two I have calculated CMY. So this is also over and yeah, CMZ. Both are over. Then let us calculate one more thing called CMLT. Okay. Which is which is actually equal to CMZ only. CMLT will be always equal to CMZ, that is 0.3, which we have already calculated. Okay. Then using these things, actually now we have to calculate the other terms like KY, KZ and KLT. So let us find out them. So let us find out KZ, KY and KLT. So these three formulae are actually given under clause 9.3.2.2. Okay, under clause 9.3.2.2 of IS 800/2007. So these formulae are actually given in that to calculate the value of KY, KZ and KLT. So let us find out them. So to do that, I need to find something called NY, lambda y, NZ and lambda z. Let us find out them first so that I can calculate KY, KZ and KLT. So NY is nothing but ratio of actual applied load, okay, divided by the capacity of the column along the minor axis, right? So P is actually 500, which we have already calculated. Means it is actually given the actual compressive load applied on the column is 500 and PDY also we have calculated just now. PDY, you can see here PDY is 1257.4. So it is 1257.4. So you can get this value as 500 divided by 1257.4, which is coming out to be 0.39. Similarly, you have to calculate P by PDZ, where once again P is 500. That is the actual applied load on the column divided by PDZ. So PDZ also we have calculated. So let us check how much is PDZ. PDZ is 1650.4. So it is 500 divided by 1650.4, which is coming out to be 0.30. Okay, so I have calculated all those things, NY and NZ. Then let us calculate next lambda Z. Okay, so lambda Z is actually, so please don't confuse this lambda Z with whatever lambda Z we have already calculated, that is KLZ by RZ. So that is different and this is a different one. So how to calculate these things? So lambda Z is actually given by under the root Fy divided by FC RZ. Fy is 250, you already know. But how to calculate FCRZ? FCRZ is given by this formula, that is pi square E divided by KLZ RZ square. Okay, pi square E divided by KLZ RZ square. And you know KLZ by RZ already you have calculated, that is 26.25. So FCRZ is this much. So you can calculate lambda Z as under the root Fy divided by FCRZ. So I'm getting lambda Z as 0.295. In the similar manner, you can calculate lambda y, which is equal to Fy divided by FCRy. So where is FCRy is once again same thing, pi square E. Now I have to substitute KLY by RY. Okay, KLY by RY you have to substitute. So once you find out once you find out FCRy, you can easily calculate lambda y. So I have calculated here. So I'm getting 0.707, right? So in this procedure like this, you have to actually calculate lambda z and lambda y, which I'm going to use to calculate ky and kz. So don't get confused with the lambda z and lambda y here to that where I will show you. Yeah, you can see here this lambda z and lambda y, right? So this is not the same as the below one to calculate ky and kz. So to calculate ky and kz, so it is a different one. You have to use this procedure. So now I know lambda z and lambda y. Then I can use these lambda z and lambda y in this equation for ky and kz, and I can calculate ky and kz because I have already calculated ny, nz, lambda y and lambda z also I have calculated. So let us substitute all these values in these first two equations and calculate the value of ky and kz. So let us do that. So ky is equal to it is 1 plus, okay, bracket open, lambda y minus 2. So lambda y is 0.707 minus 0.2 multiplied by, it is multiplied by ny. So ny also I have calculated, which is 0.39. So I can get the value of ky as 1.19. And that should be less than 1 plus 0.8 times ny. 0.8 times ny is 0.8 times 0.39. So 1 plus 0.8 times 39 is 0.8 times 0.39 plus 1. So it comes out to be 1.312. So it is less than 1.312. So it is OK. So similarly, I have to calculate kz, which is 1 plus lambda z. Lambda z is 0.295 minus 0.2 multiplied by nz. Nz is 0.3. So kz, I will get it as 1.03. And this should be less than 1 plus 0.8 times 1 plus 0.8 times nz. Nz is once again 0.3. So this value I will get it as 0.8 times 0.3 plus 1, 1.24. This is less than 1.24. That is this value, and this is this value. So I calculated kz, ky, and kz. Let us calculate KLT, which is given by this formula. OK, and all the things I know, CMLT I know, NY I know, lambda LT is nothing but lambda LT is actually nothing but 0.5856. So once you substitute all those values in the formula for KLT, I will get the value of KLT as 0.959. 0.959. OK, so I calculated KLT. I have calculated kz, I have calculated ky, everything I have done. Then I will substitute all these values into this equation. Let us check whether we have calculated everything or not. So I have calculated KLT. Yes, I have calculated KY. Yes, I have calculated KZ. Yes, everything I have calculated. And MY is the bending moment applied on the column in minor axis. MZ is once again same thing, bending moment applied on the column along major axis. So let us substitute all of them. So check number 1. Okay. Yeah. P by PDY. So first in P is 500 divided by PDY. I have already calculated. Let us check where I have calculated PDY. Yeah, PDY is 1257.4. One two five seven point four plus KY. I have just calculated. KY is 1.19 times CMY. Also have calculated. CMY is 0.786 multiplied by My is actually the maximum bending moment on the column. Okay, applied on the minor axis. So 1 and 0.75 are there. So which is maximum is 1. So that I have to take divided by MDY. So MDY also we have calculated. MDY is 39.9. Okay, plus once again KLT. KLT also we have calculated 0.959. Multiplied by. So MZ is the maximum bending moment applied on the column along major axis. That is 15 divided by MDZ also we have calculated. MDZ is 179.42. You can see here 179.42. So let us check what will happen to all these things. So 500 divided by 1257.4, which is 0.39 plus 0.786 multiplied by 1 divided by 39.9 multiplied by 1.19, which is 0.023. That is the second term plus the third term, that is 0.959 multiplied by 15 divided by 179.42, which is coming out to be 0.080. So this value I'll get it as 0.39 plus 0.023 plus 0.080. You can check, this is coming out to be 0.493. Since this is less than 1, hence safe. Check 1 is safe. Let us do the same thing for second check also. So P is once again 500. Now let us see what is PDZ. PDZ is 1650.4 plus 0.6 times KY. So KY we have already calculated. KY is once again 1.19 multiplied by CMY. CMY is 0.786 My is 1 divided by MDY. MDY is 39.9 plus KZ. So KZ we have already calculated, which is 1.03 multiplied by CMZ. CMZ is 0.3 multiplied by MZ is 15 divided by MDZ is 179.42. So this whole thing, I am getting it as 0.348, the whole thing. And since this is also less than 1.0, hence it is safe. So we have done all the checks for the ISHB 300, and we see that for in all the checks, the ISHB 300 is safe against the applied loads. So hence I can say that the ISHB 300 is adequate to take all these factored loads which are coming on that. Okay, so is it okay, students? Have you understood? I know it's a very lengthier one, but all the nothing to remember or no, nothing to remember all the formulae. All the formulae are actually given in IS 800 2007. You have to refer a respective clauses and check all these things. Only the last check is a bit tedious one, but I think if you can practice few more examples, I think you will be able to do this last check also. But apart from that, the first three checks are as simple as that. Are you clear, students? Any doubts here?
So,
Yes.
so that last check, can you show us in code books?
Yeah, these formulae.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I will show you. So you have to go for IS 800 and then you have to go for clause 9.3. So I have come to 13. Yeah. Can you see here 9.3.2.2? Okay. So these are the two formulae which you can see. Can you see these two?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, these are the two checks. Now to find out KY, KZ, they are given here. KY, KZ and KLT. KY, KZ and KLT. Now how to calculate CMZ and CMY? You have to refer this table. You can see here. Since ours is a uniform bending moment, okay, it means the bending moment which you have applied on the column is uniform. Okay, it means it is not in a parabolic nor in a any other shape. So always it will be in the this fashion only. So to calculate CM Y, CMZ and CMLT, you have to use this formula that I told you 0.6 plus 0.4 times xi. Are you clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So only you have to play only this one. First clause is 9.3.1.3. You have to use this equation. Then in the next one, you have to use a 9.3.2.2. You have to use this equation. Only these two clauses are very important. And if once you know how to apply these formulae correctly, once you practice few more examples, you'll be able to do that. Any other doubts, students? Any other doubts you have?
No, sir.
Okay, right. So actually, I have solved the example which was given in previous year video question paper. I will just tell you the introduction about that, and I will not be going to solve this. We'll solve this numerical example maybe in the next class. Okay, but I just want to give you some introduction about this numerical example, which was given in previous year video question paper, that is December January 2020. Okay, so it's a bit tricky one. uh, to understand the loading only, you will take a lot of time. But once you understand how the loads are acting on the beam, I think then after that it is as simple as that. Okay, let me read the statement. A column ISHB 300 in a framed building supports the beam shown in figure below. Only this figure is given. Okay, don't see this figure now. I will explain you, but only this figure is given in the question paper. Okay, figure below. At its top end, this is the top end of the column. The beams are welded to the column flanges. You can see here, this is ISHB 300, that is the column. To this column, two beams are getting connected. First beam is beam 1 and the second beam they have called it as beam 2. And both the beams are what he is telling. The beams are welded to the column flanges and transfer end reaction of 225 kilonewton from beam 1. That is from beam 1, there is an end reaction of 225 kilonewton. And from beam 2, there is an end reaction of 375 kilonewton. Okay, as shown in the figure below. And an axial compressive load of 675 kilonewton from the top story. And from the top story, there is one more column, and that column is transferring a load of 675 kilonewton. That is an axial compressive load that is exactly passing through the CG of the column. The bottom end of the column has a similar arrangement as well as loading. This is the top end of the column, and at the bottom end of the column also there is a similar arrangement and the same loading. Check the adequacy of the column if its effective length is 3.2 meter about both the axes. About both the axes, they have given it as effective length is 3.2 meters. The beam end reactions and the loads are computed from factored loads. It means whatever loads they have given here, all are factored. You should not do once again factor of that. So he has mentioned that. Okay, let us first understand how the column arrangement is. This is the column. I'm showing you the top view. That is a top view means the top portion of the column, and plan view. I would say plan view, and at the top portion of the column. This is the column. To this column, two beams are getting connected. You can only see the flange of the beam, and these dotted lines are actually the web of the beam. So these two beams are getting connected to the column and they are welded to the column. This beam is transferring an end reaction of 375 kilonewton, and this beam is transferring an end reaction of 225 kilonewtons. Means the reaction of this beam is getting transferred to this column, and the reaction from this beam is getting transferred to this column. Apart from that, the column is also subjected to an axial compressive load of 675 kilonewtons. Okay, so let me show you the side view of this. So this is your column. These two are the flanges. You can see. That is, I mean to say this one. These two are actually the flanges. Flange thickness you can see here. This is the web portion. So on top side, this is beam 1 and this is beam 2. You can see this is the flange of these are the flanges of the beam. OK, and one beam is getting connected to this column and another beam 2 is also getting connected to this column. Now what they have told, these beams have been welded to the columns. OK, here there is a welding. I will tell you why he has mentioned this part. So from this beam, there is a reaction of 375 kilonewton, which is coming onto this column. And from this beam, there is one more reaction of 225 kilonewton, which is coming on this column. And also there is a 675 kilonewton. And he also tells that there is same arrangement at the bottom of the column also. Same arrangement at the bottom of the column and same loads are being transferred. OK, same loads are being transferred. OK, now he asked us to check the adequacy of this column for these type of loading. OK, now my question is to all of you is whether this column is subjected to uniaxial bending moment or biaxial bending moment. You just tell me that. Is the column subjected to uniaxial bending moment or biaxial bending moment?
Uniaxial.
Okay, anybody else saying biaxial bending moment?
Sir, biaxial.
Okay, the one who told uniaxial, can you just tell me, explain me why you told uniaxial? Let your answers be wrong. Don't worry about that. We are discussing here.
So the load is coming from one direction only, the same direction.
You mean to say which load? 675 kilonewton or 225 and 375?
225 and 375.
Okay, yeah, almost 90% of the answer is correct. Perfect. Okay. Suppose, say, yes, your answer is actually correct. Since he is telling that uh, there is connection of the beams to the column from only one direction. Yes or no? Okay. So these beams are getting connected to the column in this direction only. Hence, the column is subjected to uniaxial bending moment. Suppose if the same column is getting connected uh, with the beams from this side also. If it is getting connected from this side also, then there will be a transfer of end reaction from these two beams also on this column, and the column will be subjected to biaxial. But in this case, it is not subjected to biaxial because the beams are getting connected only from the uniaxial, means only from one direction the beams are getting connected. So for that purpose, the column is actually subjected to only uniaxial bending moment. Okay, so that is correct answer. Okay, now I would like to tell you that since he has specified welding specification means that the whole reaction will be transferred to the column. Okay, the whole reaction will be transferred to the column. It is like a moment resistant connections. There are two types of connections which are available. One is the pinned connection and the another one is the moment resistant connection. When you're welding the beam to the column like this, it is actually a moment resistant connection. Means whatever loads are being taken by the beam, same loads will be transferred to the column. So for that purpose, he has specified welding. Okay. So now you know that it is subjected to uniaxial bending moment. Now, can anybody tell me whether that bending moment is along ZZ axis or is it along YY axis? Now you told uniaxial. Okay. Whether that bending moment is acting along Z axis or is it acting along Y axis? Is it MZ or My? Which one is correct?
Sorry, MZ.
Okay, yes, correct. It is MZ. Okay, how you have to assess is you can see here. Uh, these are the directions of the beams which are getting connected. You can see if there is a bending moment along these two. Okay, it means if these beams bend in this fashion, if these beams bend in this fashion, means if these beams deflect in this fashion, so this column will also be deflected in the same fashion. Yes or no? It means it will be deflected either on this side or it will be deflected either on this side. So it means the bending moment is not My, it is Mz. Are you clear? Okay, right. So now you know that it is Mz. But how can you calculate Mz? This is a very tricky part. Yes, what is P value? Axial compressive load. Directly you can say P is 675. But what is Mz? How will you calculate Mz? Can anybody just give me a simple hint? I don't want exact value. Give me some simple hint so that how you will be proceed to calculate, how you will proceed to calculate the value of Mz.
Sir, by taking maximum load 375.
Okay, then what you will do?
Uh,
375 load. Okay, then what you will do next? I want bending moment. Okay, one more question I will ask you, which is actually a clue. Whatever answer you will give will be actually a clue on how to calculate Mz. Suppose the end reaction from this beam is 225 and the end reaction from this beam is also 225. Then what will be the value of Mz?
So couple force will be there.
No. My question is beam end reaction from this side is 225. From this side also it is 225. Then what will be the value of Mz?
Sir, 0.
Yes, you told 0. On what basis you told 0? That is the answer on how to calculate MZ. Okay, let me explain you. Now, some things are there running in your mind, but let me clear you that part. Okay, see here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this as 300. That is the total depth of the ISHB 300. Okay, this is total distance is 300 mm. So on this side, there is a reaction of 225 kilonewton. And on this side, there is a reaction of 375 kilonewton. Okay, then what is the resultant of these two forces? Since these two forces are coplanar parallel forces, so the resultant of these two should be addition of these two, that is 225 plus 375, that is 225, which is 600 kilonewton, which is the addition of these two, which is the resultant of these two forces. Now this resultant falls at what point on this 300 mm line? So it all obviously it will fall on this side, that is on the right hand side. Why it will fall on the right hand side? Because 375 is more than 225. So it will obviously fall on the right hand side part. Now I want to calculate at what distance this resultant will act. So for that purpose, what I will do, let me take this as x and let me take this as 300 minus x. So I have to equate it as 225 multiplied by 300 minus x is equal to 375 into x. That is, I'm actually using laws of moments, which you have already studied in engineering mechanics. Laws of moments I'm using to calculate at what point this resultant will act. That is 225 multiplied by 300 minus x equal to 375 into x. That is both the moments I'm equating. And I came to know that x is 112.5 millimeters. Means this resultant is acting at a distance of 112.5 mm from this side. Okay, at least now can anybody tell me how can I calculate EMZ? Yes, anybody? How can I calculate EMZ now? Okay, are you clear with this finding resultant and finding the location of the resultant? Are you clear? Students, are you clear? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, are you clear with this? Or should I explain once again?
Clear, sir.
Okay, so then now in this case, I have calculated the resultant, that is resultant of this 225 and 375. And I also calculated at what point this resultant will act. At least now you should be able to find out the MZ.
So 225 into 112.5.
No. I will tell you. Okay, see. Now this resultant is 600 kilonewtons. You know that. It means it is also like a axial. It is also like a compressive load which is being applied on the column. Your column is actually like this. I will draw this. Sorry. These are the flange thicknesses of the column. These are the flange thicknesses of the column. So this is your actual column. Okay. So now this 600 kilonewton, is it also like a compressive load which is acting on the column? Right? If that is so, is it axial compressive load or is it an eccentric load? Is it axial compressive load or is it compressive load? Sorry, is it axial compressive load or is it an eccentric load?
Eccentric.
Eccentric.
Yes. Then what is the eccentricity? How will you calculate eccentricity? Eccentricity is nothing but distance between the axial line of the column and the line of action of the resultant. This is nothing but eccentricity, and which is, see, this total from here to here it is 150. From here to here it is 150. and this distance you know it as 112.5. So this distance is nothing but 150 minus 112.5, which is 37.5. So now the bending moment which is acting on the column is simply 600 multiplied by 37.5, which is 22.5 kilonewton meter, acting at both top and bottom of the column, and which is nothing but mz. Are you clear, students? Is it clear to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Right? So this is how you have to calculate mz. But now tell me why I told this bending moment is same at both top and bottom of the column. Why it is same? Why this bending moment mz is same at both top and bottom of the column? In the first numerical example, if you see the statement, you can see at top of the column it was different and at the bottom of the column it was different. But in this case, with confidence, I'm telling mz equal to 22.5 and it is same as at both top and bottom of the column. Why it is so? What with what confidence or with what data in the with what statement in the example I can easily say it is same?
So welded connection.
Welded connection? No, that doesn't matter at all. The answer is in front of you. In the statement only you can find the answer.
So similar arrangements of loading.
Yes, perfect, perfect. Okay, you can see here in the statement only they have given the bottom end of the column has similar arrangement as well as loading. Okay, it means at the bottom also the same end reactions are being transferred and same types of beams are being welded to the column. So with this, I can confidently say that mz, which you have calculated as 22.5 kilonewton meter, is same as at the both top and bottom of the column. Are you clear now? Any doubts in calculation of mz? Any doubts you have, students? Any doubts? Yes or no? At least tell me that. Everyone have understood how to calculate mz?
Yes, sir.
Okay, right. So this is how you can just check on how to calculate the loading. Now, once you know the loading, so the final loads on the column are the actual compressive load is 675 kilonewton and the factored bending moment along major axis at top and bottom of the column is mz, which is equal to 22.5 kilonewton meter, and the column size which is given is ISHB 300, and you have to check whether the ISHB 300 is adequate to take these two loads or not. So that we'll see in my next class, right? Okay then. So if you don't have any doubts, I can just stop this. And one more thing, students,